Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of High Level Masterclass. This is a pretty new segment for us where we bring in experts in our world of high level automations and marketers and digital citizens, where we look at a certain topic and say, who is the expert out there that can come in and teach us new things? And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a tech wizard. So I have to have some really, really smart genius people coming in here explaining at an elementary level. Paulson, this is how it all works. So I asked Ashton, can you jump in and teach me AI stuff, AI appointment setting? And Ashton and I met through Joel Kaplan. We did a 3-day workshop. He was part of Joel's entire team. And, we met in person, I believe, in Traffic and Conversions, if I'm not mistaken, or TNC, yeah, in San Diego. And we
Yep.
hit it off then. And I realized you work with our development team quite often with Varun and Shivam and those guys and Chase bounce ideas. So I thought it'd be a perfect match for us to come in and do a master class on conversational AI for appointment setting. Welcome in, Ashton.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this is awesome. Also, I appreciate the genius and wizard comments, but really, it's like you spend enough time in the playground of go high level. There's not really a lot you can't do.
Yes, absolutely. If you don't mind, give us a quick 30-second rundown of your story. I know you had
Mhm.
an incredible entrepreneurial journey that you started off, came from the fitness space and got into marketing, and you
Mhm.
took kind of this whole AI thing by the bullhorns and you're running with it full speed.
Yeah, yeah. So I was actually a personal trainer about 4 years ago. It's a pretty fun story. And then I started running a gym and Anytime Fitness for about 9 months, and we scaled that up to a decent place. And then I actually started working at a hospital, and I started a marketing agency at the exact same time. So it was kind of a way for me to have some supplemental income coming in while I started my business. And the first business was gym closers. We got that to a certain point. We actually did really well. Some of those clients are still with us now, and we transitioned to active solutions, which was more conversational AI based. So we're implementing AI solutions, AI appointment setters across multiple different platforms, and we stuck with that because we saw that at the level of service that we were providing, we were just so ahead of the game, and it was hard to surpass us once we got to that point. So we still do full service marketing for a select few of niches, but now we've gotten into this point where we're growing very quickly, and obviously it's a healthy growth, and we're trying to keep everything
Yeah.
as in house as possible. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's kind of
I
how we
I
made it.
love it. And previous to high level, what did your world of automations look like, and how did you get into high level? I want you to speak to all those people that are watching this masterclass, kind of on the fence. They're just like, man, what is this whole thing about? A lot of buzz around it, but is it relevant to them? These are questions they're asking. But can you speak to those folks that are on the fence about high level?
Yes, 100%. So when I first started my agency is when I discovered HighLevel. So I signed up for the 14-day trial, and I was just trying to find an extra way to get ahead of the game, provide a good level of service, and I very quickly realized that there's not really anything else like it, especially for an agency owner, even for a brick and mortar business owner, whatever it might be. There's just so much you can do with it, and there's so many ways to leverage it. And obviously, if you're an agency owner, you can create multiple different sub accounts, an unlimited amount with some of the subscriptions, and it's absolutely amazing. It's a never-ending list of resources that you can provide for your own clients, and it's just an immense amount of value.
I love it. So let's get right into it. What is
Yeah.
conversational AI? What does that mean? How is it relevant to appointment setting? Help us understand
Mhm.
how you're using high level for sales process in general.
Absolutely. So, typically, in your typical acquisition funnel, regardless of what business that you're in, it usually goes you're running some type of paid ad, or even if it's organic traffic, somebody's coming in, submitting their information, and you need to reach out to those people to, effectively get in contact with them and increase the probability of them becoming a client of yours. So, you do that by sending them a message, having a conversation, and getting them to book either an in person appointment or some type of demo Zoom call like we're doing right now. Now, one of the cool things is that when utilizing artificial intelligence, especially when it came out, like ChatGPT, for example, you're able to develop conversational widgets, or you can at least prompt it accordingly so that it can develop or have a conversation with somebody via, text message or Facebook DM, Instagram DM, etc. So what we do is we find an effective way to implement the AI, which is the artificial intelligence, not a human, but it communicates like a human to all of your prospects that come in, which means a lot of times now, especially with how developed it is, it can come up with responses and objections that you wouldn't even be able to come up with in 5 seconds. It can reach out to them instantly, and it operates 24 hours. So if a lead gets submitted at 3 a.m., we can still get in contact with that lead and have a conversation. So if you work internationally, that's huge as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of people misunderstand AI. There's a lot of buzz around it,
Mhm.
and it's like, another trend that we're all jumping into, and it's a big
Mhm.
buzzword. But what I notice with high levelers is they apply AI as part of their normal operations, right? They
Mhm.
complement their main thing. What's your outlook on AI before you start sharing your screen and just kind of showing us the mechanics behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think AI, at least right now, when you're utilizing it for business, it's really just like technology, right? So like when high level first came out, the people who were using high level and were using it a lot are probably much better at using all of the dynamics of what you can, do with high level today than people just starting it today. So some people are afraid of it and they're putting it off. But I think the quicker you get into it and the quicker you leverage it, the more ahead you're going to be of everybody else that jumps in at a later period. So it's just like technology. It's the better you get at utilizing it and across multiple different ways, the better you are, or the more ahead you're going to be indefinitely.
Yeah, so you get ahead of the pace of the game and how it is as it's rapidly improving. I've seen some of the new development our teams coming out with. There's multiple areas of high level that is now AI powered. Now, conversational AI is something that was, really interesting in my mind because it moves the needle on sales. Ashton, if you want to share your screen and walk us through whatever you have planned, I'm excited for
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try to get through as much as possible as I can.
For sure. And
This is
and
going
I'm
to
gonna
be
try my best to stay out of the way.
No, you're completely fine. If you have questions that you think people might have, that would be great.
Okay,
Is
perfect.
this going to be like people are going to be able to view this and pause it later on, like if they watch
Of
it later,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, awesome. I'm going to share my screen. Paulson, let me know if you can see my screen. Okay.
Yeah. I see the Google Doc. If you don't mind
Yes.
making it a bit bigger.
Yep. Let me zoom in here.
There we go. And for those of you that are watching, we are going to have an offer attached to this. So if you ever want to jump into a 30-day trial as part of this masterclass, we'll be able to provide collaterals or whatever if Ashton wants to provide anything. But if you stay through the end, you'll see in the description of this live that there is a offer link that you can take advantage of, and you'll be affiliated to Ashton, obviously, but you'll be able to be, you're essentially supported by him as well as us with respect to the things that you're learning. So you may get snapshots or scripts or whatever. We'll make all that available for you. But what are we looking at here?
Yeah, awesome. So I wanted to first just give a high-level overview, no pun intended, of what we're gonna go into first, just so people have an idea. So first thing we're gonna do is go over a couple different workflows of building out the conversational AI. So the first one is gonna be a simple workflow, which is it's gonna give you an idea to grasp the concept of what's happening, and then there's gonna be an advanced version, which is gonna be more useful for businesses. And then we're gonna go into custom values and leveraging those to make it a more streamlined and automated process. And then just best practice for Facebook, Instagram DMs, and website chat widgets. But let's go ahead and dive in.
Awesome.
And you can see the high level screen now, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
If you don't mind, do you mind giving us a 30-second rundown of high level for those people that have never seen it before?
Absolutely. So from at the very top level, there's basically two models of high level is what I like to call it. So you have an agency view, which is where you're able to manage everything entirely, which is like your sub accounts. For example, what I was just viewing is considered a sub account. So this right here, where you can have conversations, a phone number connected to this, your calendar. It's basically any calendar system or software you can think of, all put into
CRM
one.
system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is all put into one. That's what high level is, including website builders, landing page builder, etc. So a sub account is one business that gets to utilize all of these resources. Your agency account is you managing all of the sub accounts.
Yeah. It's a
Which
parent-child relationship, and sub accounts are
exactly.
basically a location.
Yes, 100%. So this is where you would manage all of these little locations. Whenever I'm breaking this down to people, one scenario I give is as if you have like you're renting an entire building or you own an entire building and then you're leasing out rooms to other business owners. So your sub accounts are the rooms that you're leasing out, but this is where you have the high level overview of everything that's happening as far as your total text message charges, phone calls, whatever it might be, and then everything that goes into each individual sub account.
Love it.
All right, so we're going to act as if, so this is one of my template sub accounts, but we're going to act as if we are building this out for a business. It could be for ourselves or for a client, whatever it might be. And I'm going to go ahead and go into the automation section. And this is kind of where the magic happens. So let's assume that we already have so in the back end, you're able to actually configure phone numbers back here so that you can send text messages and make phone calls.
Yeah,
Let's
and by
assume
the
that we
way, while
have,
we're on Zoom and on live,
Mhm.
when you're sharing high level on either Chrome or whatever, it may be lagging, but that's not the actual speed of the platform. For those of you that are watching, it's much faster. Just be aware we're live streaming and on a Zoom, so it'll be slower.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've noticed on Zoom when you
Yeah.
screen share
Yeah.
your screen in general.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's assume that we have the phone number on the account so we can send text messages, make phone calls, etc. And here's how this is going to work. Also, one thing that might be relevant that I'll go into is that we have an opportunity section for whenever leads come into the system. So you can structure this however you want, just so you know where people are at in the sales pipeline. So whether it's new leads, hot leads, if they scheduled a call, etc. All right, so let's go into this folder I have here where we have two different workflows. We have our conversational AI complex version and we have this simple version. So we're going to go ahead and start with the simple. Now, this is what the layout looks like as you're building automations in this platform. One of the things that you can have at the very top layer is a trigger that is basically the trigger for anything else in the automation that you want to occur. So for example, let's say you're using Facebook lead forms, or let's even say you're using LinkedIn forms or
Yeah, do you
TikTok
mind
forms.
actually zooming to maybe like 114 on the percentage on the bottom
Yeah,
left
let's do it.
corner? Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So we can use Facebook lead forms, LinkedIn forms, TikTok forms. So basically, you can integrate any social media channels that you feel necessary to this, so that it's more useful to you, and you can make it your own. So this would be the trigger in this scenario. So let's say someone submits their information on a lead capture form, and we're triggering some other things to happen. So here, what I'm doing is creating or updating the opportunity, and we're just putting it in our sales pipeline. So that first thing that I just went over, and this is creating an automation for that to happen. Now we know, oh, we have a new lead and we can view it on our dashboard. Now we want to send out a trigger message as well, so that immediately we're reaching out to that contact. So this is, hey, this is Allison from so-and-so company. We just saw your info come through. Just want to know, what's your main fitness goal at the moment? That would obviously be for a gym or whatever it might be, a weight loss clinic. And that question, or their response to this question, is what is going to trigger the rest of everything else to happen. So we have an if-else scenario, which is just a condition. And some of this stuff might look scary in the beginning, but as you continue to use it, it gets easier and easier and easier. So we have a wait period where we're waiting for a contact reply. And then we have a condition whether or not they respond to the initial trigger message that we sent out. So if they do reply is when we use our conversational AI actions. And I'm going to go ahead and type that in up here so I can show you exactly how you would grab that action.
Yeah.
Now at
So
default,
in the macro picture, what you're doing right now is setting up the conversational AI system. So whenever you install that into, I don't know, a public format like a website or funnel or somewhere, this is pre-trained to answer those questions. Is that or engage with the lead, basically?
yes,
Okay,
100%.
got
Exactly.
it. Okay, keep
Exactly.
going.
Okay, perfect. Now, when you choose the conversational AI action, I believe it's OpenAI ChatGPT that's acting in the back end here, and I think the highest level at the moment that we're using in Go High Level is ChatGPT 4 Turbo, which is a pretty sophisticated version. And we have two different versions here that we can use. We have a simple, less configured bot, right, which is still able to respond to queries, answer questions, and ask questions as well. But then you have your advanced configuration where you can give it a personality, give it additional instructions, and then you can still add your question to the conversational AI action. Now, with this, you also have scenarios of what occurs. Two default scenarios that you cannot change are no condition met is number one, and then your timeout period, which is basically if someone doesn't respond to the conversational AI. So we typically have our timeout period 1 day, because if they don't respond in 1 day, we like to send a follow-up message, and I'll get into that later. But for now, let's just move down this ladder here. So we have a condition of whether or not they respond. Let's say the person replies, and Siri's trying to talk to me on my watch. Um, let's say the person replies, and here is some of the prompting that we actually have in our conversational AI here. So we basically give it information about them, and I'm going to go into the custom values here later. So we give it information about them, how we want it to behave, if it's going to be witty, funny, logical, informative, etc. And then we have
Yeah.
the conversational instruction. If we wanted to use certain types of words, or maybe we want a more millennial conversation style, or maybe we're dealing with in business to business, so we want a more
Yeah.
sophisticated conversation style, etc. And then we have questions here. So let's say we have a qualifying question of, what type of business do you own, or what's your main fitness goal, for example. This is where we put that question here. So we're giving it conversational tactics, but we're also making sure that it has an objective, and it's to get the answer to the questions.
I love that. So I would love for you guys that are watching on this live, tell us in the comments, what is your preferred positioning? Like, do you like a witty, a funny, maybe, an academic type of a voice, or someone that's, polite, informative? I would love to kind of understand your preference on copy in general if you're watching this. And also tell us whether you're using AI or if you plan on using AI with your business in general. So three things that we're going to talk about with this AI masterclass. One is what we're doing already, which is creating the actual conversational AI workflow. Next, after this, the second pillar of our conversation is going to be around customizing the custom values for templated use, because we don't want to build this out every single time over and over, right? And the third thing we'll do is really talk about the best practices for DMs, web chats, and all that stuff across Facebook, Instagram, all these different lanes. But first, what we need to do is build the foundational layer of what kind of conversations can we have. Now, Ashton, what converts better? Do you like it where it's kind of corporate-ish, or do you like casual language?
I am a huge fan of casual language. From all the testing that we've done, I feel I think we have in the prompting in here in the instructions, in specific scenarios, we say it's okay to say things. Yeah, here it is, like LOL and haha when necessary.
Wow.
It comes off like it's a human, and we get way more responses when we prompt it like this, and we get way more bookings as well.
Right. And I've even seen somebody use this minimum amount of words for all responses. So it just feels like it's not like a big paragraph sentence. All different things that you learn as you go per industry. Some industries, let's say finance or accounting, they're going to want maybe more of a thorough, long answer,
Mhm.
where, you're talking to a bunch of gym bros, it's going to be different, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's definitely situational according to your industries.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Let's go ahead and move forward with the conditions as well. So we have the qualifying question, we have the instructions that we're giving it, the personality, and then obviously the main objective is to get an answer to the question that we ask. So the conditions down here, one of the conditions that we added was the question is answered. So as you can see here in this action, we have no condition met, which basically means, let's say they responded, but they didn't answer the question entirely, then we would still want this to go somewhere. We don't want the workflow to end. So we add a go-to action, which is basically where you can send the contact to a different place in the workflow. We add a go-to action back to the qualifying question, or another thing we could do is send it to qualifying question two. The main goal here is that we don't want the workflow to end if they don't answer our question. So these scenarios that we program are all going to be recognized by artificial intelligence as well. So for example, we could say if they do answer the question and they say their weight loss goal is lose weight, I want this to happen. You could make it even that specific. In our case, we just kind of want to move them down the line. We don't want to add a lot of friction here, and we want to get them to book. So question is answered. Our condition is customer answered the question. Any answer will do. So they respond and they say something, and it goes here. and we say, and we send them to qualifying question number 2, and we would add a different question. We use the exact same prompting as we did in the first one. So one thing we can do for those that are new to HighLevel is if you click on the 3 dots here, you can go ahead and copy all actions, and you can add it to the end of the question is answered scenario. And that's exactly what I did, is I just copied this whole thing and I moved it here. It's going to keep all of your prompting that you had before. The only thing you're going to want to change is the qualifying question number 2. You don't want to ask the same question twice.
Yep.
And
Oh,
look at that. I got balloons.
you did your Zoom upgrades. Nice job.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. I love those things. They pop out of nowhere all the time. All right,
Yep.
awesome. So I have qualifying question number 1, 2. You can add as many as you want. I think some industries need to get more answers before they know if a customer is qualified. So you might have 3, 4, 5 questions. In our case, we like 1 to 2 questions, and then we send them to a booking bot where same prompting up top. The only thing that's different is the qualifying question, and we add a booking link that we want to send to the person so they can book. And then if, just in case they don't book right then and there, we send it to another branch where if they ask a question like, how much is this? Or wait, how long have you guys been in business? We can go ahead and have the bot respond to that, but it will still try to book that appointment again.
Right. So your mindset here on that step is filtering out all the junk appointments or calls that are going to, waste time for your closers, right? You're like, you know what? Let me filter through as much as I can. So that way my closers are being maximized and they're not wasting time with a bunch of tire kickers. Also, on top of that, you want to fill the traffic regardless of what happens. So it solves both problems.
Exactly, exactly. And I think another thing too is just the faster you can, it's kind of like a level of rapport, even though it's so much less rapport than a phone call or meeting someone in person or on a Zoom, for example. The quicker you can reach out to someone when they expressed interest, I think is extremely important. So if you can at least have some type of back and forth conversation as fast as possible, I think that also helps.
I'm following.
Okay, perfect. So I'll do a quick overview of this simple workflow. Again, that's pretty much everything here. But you have the trigger at the top. So you have your form that's submitted. Maybe it's a landing page that you created in Go HighLevel, or maybe it's a Facebook lead form, LinkedIn, etc. And then once this occurs, we're creating the opportunity. We're sending our trigger message out. We're waiting for our contact reply. And if they do reply, then we send them to Conversational AI, where we have our prompting and our qualifying question. We always want to route the go-to back to qualifying question 1 or send it to number 2. And then we just duplicate the action and we move it down to our booking bot. And you can add as many layers of qualifying questions as you want. Any
Got it.
questions on this, Paulson, that you think people might
So
have?
far, I'm following. If you have any questions as you're watching this live stream, put it down. We'll go through and answer as much as we can. These master classes are intended to be like an hour, hour and 15, and rapid fire. So bear with us if you are overwhelmed. It's totally okay. We have success managers, account managers, all can jump on a quick call with you and make sure you're in a stable place. But let's keep going. So right now, what I'm seeing is your intention on the sales process, which is
Mhm.
filtering the traffic, engaging quickly, and not creating too much friction. But at the same time, you're trying to create an experience where you're building the rapport early.
Yes, absolutely. And I think if anybody were to go through and really try to build this themselves, I think they could do it pretty quickly, even if it looks a little scary on the front end.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move out of this one, and we're going to go into the more advanced workflow, which does look more scary, but once I
All
talk through
right.
it, it will not look as scary. But
Yeah.
it's actually very, very useful what we're
Okay.
adding in here. So again, same thing at the top here. We have our triggers, we have our opportunity creation, we have the trigger message, and then we have the wait period. The only difference is the scary part down here
Okay.
with
What is the spider web we're looking at?
yes, yeah, great question. The spider web we're looking at, really the only difference is we have more conditions on whether, like, if the bot times out, which means if the person doesn't respond, and if they don't respond in the beginning, we have a follow-up AI that we've created.
Okay.
So I'll walk down this step by step now. So basically the thing as the other conversational AI workflow. But what's happening is once we get to this stage, if the person doesn't reply, so again, the contact doesn't reply, it's going to go over here to our follow-up AI that we've created. And we prompt this differently. We give it context on the scenario. So the person has not responded in one day. Never use the same response twice. Every response should be entirely unique. Ask any relevant question that you haven't asked, and then we can give it, anything for its as far as the personality goes. What this does is not every lead is perfect. I'm sure that we don't have a 100% response rate, in our business when we reach out to people. So if they don't respond, we send them here, and if they respond to our follow-up, we're able to send a go-to action to qualifying question 1 so we can continue the conversation path. And it will go down the exact same route that we explained earlier. Now, if in this case, I'll go into the scenarios of the follow-up AI. So we'll keep everything on the follow-up AI. The person responds with no conversation history. This means they didn't respond from the beginning. This is when we're sending them. And to break down a go-to action, again, it's just you're sending the contact that's in the workflow to anywhere in the workflow you would like to send them. So once they reach here, if they have no conversation history, we send them to qualifying question 1 so that we can get the answer to all of our questions. If the person has said what their fitness goal was, like stated here, then we send them to qualifying question 2. One cool thing about this is I know Go HighLevel actually just recently added an update where it's not going to ask the same question twice if it already received the answer. So this is something that's going to happen at default, but it doesn't hurt to still just send them to qualifying question 2 so you can make sure it's moving down the pipeline accordingly.
Got it. And I assume you usually turn on the stats view. You can see the numbers and stuff like that as you kind of just map out and essentially um, a split test, A and B split test, different types of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Which is always a good idea. I feel like the more data, the better. You never really know what's going to work. Sometimes it's like one of our initial messages that we send out that gets the highest response rates is we purposely spell the person's name wrong. So for example, if I open this up, I'll use a custom field for the person's first name. And then I'll add like XF to the end of their first name. And I spell it wrong. And then I have a second text message that goes out and it goes, "Oh, I meant Kyle, typo. Sorry about that, LOL." And I get more
Wow.
response rates on that than I do on just sending a normal message.
If you now you're getting crafty. Now you're getting crafty. If
Yeah.
you're watching this and you're seeing like cool different ways to do things, give us a one in the chat. And I've also seen people do send from iPhone or send like when they do emails, when they write emails, they'll say
Hmm.
send from iPhone or they'll have intentionally like spelling errors or exclamation or whatever. Like I think it creates the human, it exposes like a feeling that we are humans in a way where
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like it's a machine that they're talking to.
exactly. Yeah. It's actually really funny how that works. The sent from iPhone, that's a really unique idea as well. I'm gonna use that. That's gonna be my next task.
I'm gonna be typing XF on all messages moving forward.
Yeah. It works, I'm telling you. All right, so now we have the condition. Let's say they answer, just like in our scenario before. If they answer the question, we have to go, or no condition met. So let's say they don't answer this question, but they responded to the very first trigger message. We send the go to the qualifying question again, or again, we can send it to qualifying question 2. Either one will work. The only reason you might not want to send it straight back to qualifying question 1 is because you have the potential of getting loop locked. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it just means when the same action occurs over and over and over again, too many times in a certain period of time, it might get loop locked where there's like a jam. All you have to do is disconnect it and re-add it. Really easy fix. But if you want to avoid that, you can just send it here. Hopefully that's not too much information for anyone that's too new. Then we have the timeout period here. So again, if someone doesn't respond within 24 hours, we have a timeout period and we send that go-to action to the follow-up AI. And then the same thing would happen once we follow up. If they respond to the follow-up, then we have our conditions on where they are going next into the pipeline. And the only difference now is we are sending every timeout period is going to be a go-to action to the follow-up AI. So we see all these spider webs here, but it's really the same thing as before, only two differences. Number one is we have a follow-up action now. And then number two is if people time out, we're sending them to the follow-up action, and that is it.
I like that. So you're basically not losing any traffic just because they're a bit stagnant, or maybe, you're on the wrong time zone and the messages don't go out because you have some sort of a restriction that you built in that you didn't think about or whatever. Like, so it just covers for a lot of ground.
Correct. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
All right. And then everything else is pretty much the same as far as the booking bot goes. Obviously, if there's no condition met, we always want to send it either to, like, let's say, for example, this one doesn't have one. We want a go to action to go. If it reaches the booking bot and the person doesn't answer the question or doesn't book the appointment, then we send it to the booking bot again. And then the same thing occurs, and we'll send it back to the booking bot if there's no condition met, or if they time out, we're going to send them to the go-to action. We really just want to make sure that we're not losing any opportunities. If they respond, even if they don't answer our questions, we still want to address or acknowledge what they've said and take them right back into the pipeline. So the goal here is just to have an objective, which is to get the answers to the questions and book the appointment.
I love it. And if you don't know, workflows is really like the engine of your accounts. Like that's what actually moves the needle. Everything else is like a monitor in a sense. Like conversations, the monitor. Calendars are all monitors. So pay attention to how these things are built out, because once you get your feel for how workflows function, you can do a lot of cool things with high level. I've seen people build out 5-year automations, newsletters that are built monthly for years to come. Like it can get pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it is. I think when you become really accustomed to all the things you can do with high level, just for example, if you just look at all the actions and that, like, there's so much you can do here. There's almost more that you
Need.
like. Yeah, you realize that there's so much in here that can make your business more and more efficient. And I'm learning new things every day just by going through here and accidentally finding new ways to trigger certain things to happen. So the more you mess with it, the better you're going to get, and the more efficient it's going to make you
Yeah,
ultimately.
plus it doesn't help if we're rolling out, 20, 30 new features every week and upgrades every other week. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a constantly moving target that everybody's shooting for.
Yeah, it's exciting though, because
It
nobody's ever going to
is.
reach a certain point in business and be like, all right, I'm done. That's it. I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go ahead and then very quickly, we also have a stop bot workflow. And this is basically something that we do personally so that the bot doesn't continue to reach out to people who have booked an appointment, because that can get kind of annoying. So what we do is when an appointment has been booked, or there is an active appointment status, which is one of the triggers you can select, we remove them from the workflows, and then we add a tag called stop bot. Then anybody with the tag stop bot we know has booked an appointment and they are no longer enrolled in that campaign.
And that's if they
Also,
show up, right?
correct.
Gotcha.
Oh, you mean if they show up? Well, technically it would be if the appointment is booked in general.
Okay. And
So
then
this would,
do you not set up a no-show system or no-show campaign?
you
And
also could set up another, you would prompt the bot a little bit differently, but you could cater it to no shows specifically. So
gotcha.
the exact same setup that we have in the conversational AI workflow, but instead of for new lead nurture, it would just be for no shows. You just prompt it a little bit different.
Got it.
Um, for this, what I would do is appointment is booked, removes them from the workflows, and you can add your own appointment reminders. So you could wait before a certain time before the appointment. So for example, event, and let's say you want a 24-hour reminder, and then you send a text message that says, hey, just wanted to remind you of your appointment that you have coming up tomorrow. And then I always like to ask a question like, what's your favorite t-shirt size? We're putting in an order for t-shirts, something like that. Actually increases response rates and show rates, which is awesome. All right,
Funny.
let's move into the custom values. So this is how we streamline this, and we don't have to mess with the spider web over and over and over again every time we build an account. So we create a folder called Conversational AI, and we have custom values. So what custom values are is they're like code to house information that can be really easily used in any of the accounts. So for example, I can paste an actual appointment link in my appointment link custom value. So I can click here, edit the custom value. Let's say we just do xyz.com. And now anywhere that I paste this code, it's automatically going to populate the value that I added here. So I can copy this code here and I can go to a text message, for example, and I can paste that code. I mean, I'll just, let's say I send a new message. We don't have any contacts in this account, but if I were to send a new message and paste that code, it would populate the actual URL instead of the code itself. So let's head back over to the custom values. Okay, so 8 custom values. Number 1 is the appointment link. 2 is the company information. 3 is the company name. The name of the AI assistant. Female names get higher response rates, by the way. So if you want to use like Alyssa, Angela, whatever it might be. The qualifying question number 1, 2, the trigger message, so that first message that goes out, and then your website link, just for your bot to have access to. Now, what this is going to do is, let's say you create a new account, you load in all of this information. All you're going to do is add the appointment link here as the value. You're going to add information about the company. So if it's in an accounting firm that does X, Y, and Z, and they're located wherever, the company name, so XYZ Accounting, and then we have the name of the AI assistant, and then we have the qualifying questions and the trigger message. Now, why this is relevant is because when you load a snapshot into the account, it's going to load your workflows exactly how you created them, which means, and also with the custom values, which means if I create this once, even if it's the complex bot, and I update all the information in the custom values, I have the custom value for my trigger message that's automatically going to populate, that's going to go out in the beginning, and I have the qualifying questions already loaded in to the custom value. I already have the company name, the company information, the name of the AI assistant loaded in as custom values. So really, you will never have to go into this workflow again. All you have to do is load the account, come in here, update the information specific to the company, and the bot is going to act exactly as if it works for that company.
And you're basically setting that up for that entire location or the sub account, right?
Correct.
So all activities. So you can use these custom values for an email. You can use it for landing pages. You can use it
Yes.
wherever you have custom values, not just the AI conversations.
Yes, 100%. So, but the cool thing with the AI is that you don't have to touch the workflows. It's just, since the workflows are based off of the custom value information, you load the entire snapshot into here, fill in this information, and you have a fully functioning conversational AI that works on your behalf and knows everything about your business.
Yeah, give us a one in the chat or comments if you find custom values like as one of your favorite things inside of HighLevel. I'm curious to see how many of y'all use it. You should be using it if you're not. If you're brand new to it, this is one of the pillars of HighLevel that you must learn ASAP, in my opinion, because it makes life so much more easier to create. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself building from scratch quite often when you don't have to.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, the custom values and the custom fields are super, super useful. We use it for populating things into our Slack channel, populating things into our Asana board, etc. It's so easy to automate things with custom fields and custom values.
Love it.
All right, so that's the end of that specifically. The one last thing is going to be my best practices for, and this is kind of like an add-on, the Facebook, Instagram DMs, and the website chat widgets. Paulson, you think we got some time here to run over that?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Let's do it.
Perfect. Okay, so if you go to the settings and you go to conversational AI in the back end, so this actually can serve a few different purposes. Now, before it used to not be as sophisticated, and recently we've done some upgrades to this specific conversational AI, and it's utilizing ChatGPT 4 Turbo, so it's 10 times better than it's ever been, and we actually are now using it for all of our clients and ourselves. So just to walk through this. So this conversational AI, there's an autopilot version, there's a suggestive version, and then you can just turn it off entirely. So the suggestive is if you're texting somebody in the system, it will give you options and recommendations of what you could say, and it's recommended by AI. So it's not going to send the messages, it's just going to suggest what you could say in those scenarios and respond to
Got it.
messages. If you have autopilot turned on, it's just going to go ahead and it's going to talk to everybody in your account, which is typically what you want, but you might not want it for every channel. One big question I get is, why would you not just use this instead of making the workflow? The reason for using the workflow is because you want to have as much control over your work or over the conversations as much as possible. So for example, like turning off the bot when someone books an appointment, very important. And then you transition over to appointment reminders instead, so the bot doesn't keep trying to reach out to and annoy the person that's already booked. So with autopilot, this is just indefinitely going to be on, which is why I like to use it for Facebook, Instagram, and live chat. And here's how it works. So down here you have the response times, and I usually set mine somewhere between 5 and 15 seconds. Sometimes if you have it too short, people will know it's AI specifically because it answers too fast, which is actually impressive. Then you have the maximum number of messages you could send. That's really up to you. And then if you were to send a manual message, it's going to automatically deactivate the bot, and you choose how long you want it deactivated when you manually send a message. So if you don't like the conversation that the bot's having, you can always jump in and the bot will deactivate automatically.
So it's
So
like it's like an intercept time, basically.
Exactly. So now there's three things you can do to program this. So number one is configuring intents. So this is where you are editing the prompt, similar to how we were doing before. What you're going to do is, and you can leverage the custom values in here as well. So you're going to give it direction on how to act, how to behave, give it information about your business so it knows how to answer. And then same thing for your appointment booking bot, which is right here. So we feed our appointment booking bot a lot of information. We give it the qualifying questions that it's going to ask, etc. So very similar layout. The only difference is that you just have one big prompt area instead of multiple different little actions. The way number two on editing this bot or configuring the bot is the bot training, which is uploading links. So you can upload Google Docs, your website data, somebody else's website, whatever is going to be helpful to answer the questions that prospects might be that might come in and ask. And then you have your bot trial, which is actually testing the bot that you just configured. And this is going to be very useful when you're going back and forth between configuring intents and talking to the bot. You want to make sure that your prompt was done, correctly, and it's reflecting accordingly. So if the bot isn't responding exactly how you would want it to, you go back and you further configure the prompt and add some more information, or be more clear and concise with your prompting, and then it will start behaving accordingly. So I'll give you an example of how this would work. So you want to act like a prospect. So I would say interested. The bot says, nice, I'd love to help you out. What type of business do you currently own? So that's one of the qualifying questions. A gym? Got it. How soon are you looking to implement an AI setter in your gym? I can say, what do you guys? Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh, so that's that's one point where you'd have to go in, configure the intents. If this question is asked, then you could add X, Y, and Z. But if you were to ask something like, what do you guys do exactly? Also, uploading your website data would fix this problem entirely. There's not a question it wouldn't be able to ask if you uploaded your website. We just didn't actually upload any links.
Gotcha.
One last example, and provides we should add links to that. But if you add your website data and you add a Google Doc, you're 100% going to get answers to every single question that could be under the sun. For example, our website has more than enough information for the bot to know and understand, oh, this is what the business does, and this is the objective of the company overall, and it'll answer those questions. But it's actually fun once you start configuring the bot itself, when you're going back and forth, and you're trying to make it perfect. It's a fun process. So when you turn on the channels after you've integrated your Facebook and Instagram accounts, you can just select the channels you would like the bot to operate in once you've configured it accordingly. And then you have the live chat version. Once you've selected live chat, you're going to go to sites and you'll go to chat widget. You can build your own chat widget, upload your own personal image that you would like to upload. Um, you're going to go to the chat type, select live chat, and you're going to grab the HTML code that it provides you, and you can install it on literally any website. So Wix, GoDaddy, WordPress, Go HighLevel, etc.
Got it. So then that creates an experience for me to capture the traffic that's coming in versus nothing there.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Now help me understand the different types of channels. Which
Mm-hmm.
channels should I focus on if I'm just building one at a time? Should I, or do I just assume the TikTok, the Instagrams, and the Facebook all function the same way, or are there different types of conversations that happen?
No, they will all function the same way. Are you
Okay.
referring to the workflows specifically?
Yeah, I guess I'm talking to the conversations themselves. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do people on Instagram talk to you the same way as TikTok or maybe another channel or a website? Like, because to me, if somebody looked up the website, they're a lot more warmer sometimes
Mm-hmm.
versus, let's say, I don't know, another channel, right? So, do you have different layers like that, or can you build in layers like that?
You could build in layers like that actually. So for example, let's say we're in our automation section here. We could have one trigger for each workflow, and you could just duplicate these once you've actually kind of tested them and
For
created
for
them.
each channel, basically.
Exactly. And like, let's say for TikTok, since it's typically a younger audience, maybe you wanted to have more millennial type of conversation style with them. You could
Yeah,
just add that to your prompting, to your conversational prompting, and duplicate this workflow, and then add TikTok form submitted as the only trigger for that workflow specifically. And
got it.
then I would just name these. I would name the new workflow just so you know which one's which. So
Got
TikTok,
it.
LinkedIn, etc.
Cool. Yeah, because sometimes I think the temperature difference of each lead is something people have to cater for, or the purchasing cycle that they're in. Like sometimes they're an active buyer, they're interest buyer, or they're just standing
Mhm.
far. And sometimes you have to provide big umbrella educational content before you can ask for a sale, right?
Yes, 100%. We have a different type of prompting for people who come through the form on our website as well. So similar to what you were saying, is people are,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. Awesome. So help me understand some of the best practices well, are there anything else we need to talk about on custom values?
No, that is pretty
Okay.
much everything.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Help us understand best practices for DMs, web chat. Like what are some things that's working?
So that is a good question. So that's partially what we just went over here with these the Facebook, Instagram, and live chat, and configuring this bot a little bit differently since it's a slightly different process. But some of the best practices aside from what I've mentioned, would be um, spend a lot of time on the bot training, like uploading the correct links. If you want to create Google Docs with maybe some FAQs or whatever it might be, it'll be extremely beneficial. And then configuring the actual prompting so that it's going to communicate exactly how you want it to. So, for example, you would probably want a more millennial type of conversation here as well because it's social media, right? So it's a little less formal. It's not necessarily an email or a text message, regardless of the any forms that they are submitting. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as it goes here. I would say for
Got
best
it.
practices, yeah, you're definitely going to want to implement all of them together in your business solutions. So I would go the automations and workflow and custom value. That would be one that I would use strictly for text messages. You want that to be a lot more organized so that you could turn it off and turn it on whenever you want. And then I would have Facebook and Instagram and live chat all turned on together once you've configured this conversational AI as well.
Got it. So let me take a step back on a couple of items. I have a couple of things that I want to kind of go over with you.
Yep.
Let's think as entrepreneurs for a second. How do I make money with this? Or is it possible? Like, how do I monetize on this? Do I set this up. Obviously, we're on a master class. We're not implying that you're going to make money just
Hmm.
by clicking a bunch of buttons.
Yeah.
Results may vary, but help us understand, what your experience is on monetizing it. Is it a monthly subscription, kind of a SaaS model, or do you attach it to a retainer? Does your clients get involved? Like help us understand that component of pricing and packaging AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've seen, and we actually teach a lot of
And you can
people.
you can stop sharing as we chat if you want
Okay,
to.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
All right. We actually teach a lot of people how to build conversational AI agencies with Go High Level. One of the things that I've seen work really well is become an expert in this. If you spend some, and it won't take you long to learn, understand, Go High Level, maybe to learn how to do everything. I don't know how to do everything. There's way too much you can do in there. But if you can become like a baseline level expert, understand how to effectively use conversational AI, what you can do is you can start providing the CRM with the pre-programmed conversational AI to businesses and lease that out to them. I've seen that that is a really good way to monetize this specifically.
When you
Now,
say
another
lease, what do you mean by lease versus a retainer or like, well, how does that work?
exactly a retainer is basically what I
Oh,
mean. So
okay,
yeah,
got
so
it.
let's say I come across a business who is currently running paid ads and a lot of brick and mortar, so like med spas and chiropractors. It's hard to find one that's not running paid ads, and maybe their team is dropping the ball, or their receptionists are part time, or whatever it might be. You're able to implement this and connect it directly to their advertising campaigns and have a 24-hour assistant that is going to communicate with every lead that comes into the system. And then you could charge a retainer for providing that service alone. So not only just the
Yeah.
CRM, but the conversational AI
Now,
assistant as well.
what kind of price ranges do you recommend or have you seen?
I think a lot of it is going to depend on the lead volume that's coming in as well. I would say on average, somewhere between um, I've seen as low as 297-ish, depending on how small the business is, and as high as 1500-ish per
Got
month.
it. Okay. So this is definitely a viable option for businesses to invest into because they do marketing anyway, even if they don't do paid ads or not, they still have to have an organic capturing system, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a front desk person that's just constantly on, just nonstop. That's pretty much what it feels like. And we do know that they have to spend what, 1,600, $1,700 minimum on minimum wage employee at best,
Hmm.
right? So, and most of that talent is not the same as anything else quite often. So, this is a pretty interesting option. Do you see that this works in local markets, or do you think this works with online businesses?
Both. So definitely local markets. So things like I mentioned, like med spas, and like we increase booking rates by 30% on average across all med spas. Kairos are somewhere around the same, 20 to 30%. Online businesses are a little bit lower, but still, if you have it in the account, you're going to see an increase in appointments right away. I'd say worst case scenario, 10%.
Got it. My next entrepreneurial question is, how do I create the assembly line so I'm not in the trenches? Like how scalable is this? Do I need to
Mhm.
have a big team behind me on this? Do I need to be a tech wizard? Like, what is the fulfillment component of this?
Yeah, great questions. I think anybody has the ability, even if you're not a tech wizard, to learn and understand how to use this and how to implement it. It's just going to be trial and error, and actually in repetition. Uh, but it is extremely scalable because it's one of those things that people rely on, right? With marketing agencies, for example, there's a lot of marketing agencies out there, and some of them are good and some of them aren't. So churn tends to be a little bit higher. But when you come into a business like this, where if you do a good job, they rely on you, kind of just like a CRM service in general. A lot of times, you don't churn, with software, especially if you have a good one. So if you provide a good service and they start to rely on it, especially with businesses that are already running ads, then it's really easy to build up that recurring on the back end, and the business becomes a lot more scalable because the lifetime value is just naturally higher.
Yeah, Ashton, sometimes I don't know what to do anymore about that. I've been telling agencies, we've all been telling agencies for a long time now that SaaS is the way to go. Often people misunderstand that we're promoting high level with the whole SaaSpreneur thing. It's
Mhm.
not just that, it's the actual model. We know that SaaS churns a whole lot less than an agency, and we've seen healthier agencies come out of the woodworks with a software offering. They don't have to go
Yep.
pivot all the way into SaaS, but if they have a software offering, it functions like a utility bill. Can you speak a bit more to that? Because I feel like it's better coming from you or someone else outside of high level. Because like at
Mhm.
this point, we've beaten the dead horse on go SaaS, go SaaS, go SaaS.
Yeah.
But it's beyond high level. It's the business model that we're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I'm not going to tell anybody who, who's running a successful marketing agency to, stop everything that they're doing, but it definitely should be an aspect of what you do. If you can create something or like, you engage in SaaS with high level that is going to extend the lifetime value of the customers you have, then it makes your business significantly more scalable. Especially when, like I said before, like churn and with marketing agencies is on average like 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
A client will drop off and churn. And if with SaaS, your lifetime value is, let's say, 12 to 15 months, it's so much easier to stack up what you have on the back end. And once you get 6 months, 12 months into a business and you've signed up a decent amount of people, all the people you're signing up on the front end are obviously new revenue. All the people on the back end are continuing to stay. And that just kind of compiles over time. And when you do that, then you can start, removing yourself slowly. Like now I need to find people who know how to install these for other businesses, or I can find people to sell for me on the front end, etc. And it's really hard to do that when you only rely on front end cash collected, which is usually the model of a marketing agency. Not all of them. I know there's some people that watch this might be like, a little bit angry that I say that, but for most, like you can't really beat the average. The average is 3 months, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah, and I actually think it's even less depending on what the price points are, the complexity of the prospect themselves.
Mhm.
But either way, any final thoughts that you want to share around conversational AI? So far, it's been a fantastic masterclass. We talked
Mhm.
about creating the conversational AI workflows. We talked about custom values to templatize the fulfillment. We talked about some best practices around DMs and chats. And we talked about the entrepreneurial side of it, the business opportunity around this as well. Final thoughts that you may want to share.
Yeah, so I would say whether you're a brick and mortar business owner, an online business owner, or you have or you want to start, a business, get into SaaS, whatever it might be, leveraging this right now is going to make it easier to make money than ever before. I mean, we've seen it. We have a lot of clients, and we've done a lot of testing. We've seen the numbers. The booking rates go up. And again, everything we just talked about with the actual business opportunity it's amazing and a lot more scalable than most things on the market right now. And I think if you just get into it, stop being afraid of it, and take action, I think it'll move faster than people think it will.
Yeah. And to your point, we know it's scalable to the point that we launched a 5-day challenge around the AI chat widget. And we've seen really, really cool results with some brand new agencies. I think we
Mhm.
had over 20,000 agencies now go through the
Oh, that's
5-day
awesome.
challenge for that. And
Yeah.
we've seen a really, really good success rate across the board. Now, in the challenge, Ashton, we talk about, okay, use the AI thing, the AI widget, the AI bot, the whole AI component, the conversational component as a Trojan horse to get your foot in the door. And then if you want to expand into Facebook ads, Google ads, consulting, coaching, whatever it is, you can get those um, sales cycles going much easier when you have a trendy product in front of you that you're using as a dangling carrot. Can you speak to that a little bit as we close out?
Yeah, 100,000%. I mean, we still do that right now. It's like we use the conversational AI as our bait, and it's not our main thing that we do. Like, well, it is kind of our main thing, but we do so much more, right? Like we have an
Yeah,
entire
it's
team
the
that,
brand positioning as the main thing.
exactly. So, yeah, I think if you're going to start with one place, even if you were just learning how to use the chat widget, I mean, sell the chat widgets for a monthly subscription, and I'm sure the churn would be very low on that. And even if it's just like, let's say you're charging $100 per widget on someone's website or whatever, just to begin, just so you can collect money. If you're starting a business, sometimes that's just all you need to kind of you need to earn your own conviction, right? Some people just think it's impossible and they can't do it, but there's another bubble.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were to start out and just start, selling the chat widgets to business owners that needed it for, $100 here and there, you would earn your own conviction and you'd go, wow, I can make money online. And it becomes really easy to branch out and start running paid ads and start learning how to do this, because now you know that it's possible, which means if
Yeah.
you know something is possible, I think you work harder
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, and if you're like me, you don't want to do any of the fulfillment stuff, you can always find certified admins to just fulfill everything as well, or partner up with an agency that'll handle all the fulfilling. But Ashton, I appreciate you saying yes to this. We've had a great masterclass around conversational AI. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your content. And you do have a YouTube channel and a couple of other resources. Can you speak to that a little bit and kind of tell everyone how they can find you, how they can get engaged with you in your community, and some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a lot more active on YouTube, actually now more than ever. So if you just search up my name, Ashton Wilson or Ashton Wilson AI, it'll come up. I just recently, well, I'm in the process of shooting a 7-day challenge for actually
Nice.
utilizing Go High Level and building out your own conversational AI agency. So
Awesome.
I go
Yeah.
over how to run paid ads, how to do cold outreach to get clients, how to actually I think the very first video, I actually walk through the entire, like me getting the free trial, setting up my first account, etc. So perfect walkthrough for a beginner. And then
Love it.
obviously just some tutorials, Go High Level tutorials and stuff along the way. Also on Instagram, you can find me at Ashton11Wilson as well. I post some cool content is there on there as well. So
Awesome, man. Well, good seeing you again. Hope to run into you at one of these events again. I feel like I saw you a couple of times now, but either way, thanks for saying yes to us, and thank you for watching another episode of High Level Masterclass, everybody. Bye for now.